I'm going to interrupt. Brenda, if you can hear me, I don't believe anybody can hear you.
Great. Thanks so much, Kurt. Looks like our sound is good, so let's begin.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time out of your valuable and very busy days to spend with us here for the next 30 to 45 minutes for your competition's Best Kept Secret for NX Data and Processes webinar. Before we launch into the presentation proper, I just want to bring you through a couple of items on this webinar platform so that you're comfortable with it and familiar. So first, if you have any technical issues, please do hit the question mark widget on your widget bar at the very bottom of the screen. Next, if you'd like to maximize the slide deck so that you can see it larger, go ahead and hit the top right icon on that widget. As you have questions, please do enter the questions in the Q&A chat screen. We'll be doing the questions at the end of the webinar, but we'd like to queue them up. So as you have them and think of them, go ahead and enter them in the Q&A box. Also, if you have any technical issues at all, go ahead and you can enter those in the Q&A box. Please keep in mind that if for some reason you don't see the slides advancing, go ahead and hit the F5 key on your computer. That will probably fix any issues you might encounter on your side in being able to see the slides advance quickly. We also have some additional information in the resource list widget, so you can explore those as you have a mind to. And lastly, any one of these boxes, which we call widgets, can be maximized or minimized by just hitting an icon on that bottom widget bar. At the end of this webinar, could you take 90 seconds and fill out our very quick survey? The survey is also down there in the widget bar. A perfect time would be while we're doing Q&A and you're waiting for your question to be answered. So here's a quick sound check. If you can hear my voice, please enter the state that you're located in. For example, I am in Georgia and Kurt is in Texas. Where are you today? Where are you working from, or where are you joining us from? Go ahead and enter that data now. We'll give it maybe 10 or 15 seconds. And we just want to make sure that you all can hear us. Excellent. And thank you, everybody, for your feedback. With that, this is a brief summary of our agenda, which Kurt, our presenter, will go into in much greater detail. But first, let me introduce Kurt. Kurt is a member of the Siemens PLM Technical Enablement Group. He has over 25 years of experience in design and manufacturing, and specifically in PDM, or Product Data Management Solutions. Because of Kurt's extensive experience as an application engineer working in these industries, he really understands the day-to-day challenges that you face every time you go into work and every time you're trying to design or release a product. So Kurt, we are so pleased to have Kurt here to speak to us about product data management and those secrets that can make your business very lean and very competitive today. My name is Brenda Ainsberg. I'm the Channel Program Manager at Siemens PLM, and my job is to put together the back-end systems and arrange things so that we can bring experts like Kurt and others to you to get the most relevant and important information to you quickly so that you can use those in your business decisions and make sure that your company not only survives but thrives in this very competitive environment. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Kurt.
Thank you, Brenda. So today I'm going to talk to you about the trends and challenges that companies such as yours face. To begin with, the market today, it's a very global market. There's a lot of competition out there. A lot of that competition is becoming more and more from offshores, and it's just really about global competition. And with that, we also have a lot of customers that are requesting more and more configurations of product. Could be something as simple as maybe a color, but they may be looking for more functions and features on a particular product. Everything, if you look at a cell phone and automobiles change so quickly today with more product configurations and really getting down to I want a customized product. Well, with that, manufacturers need to be able to respond to those customer requests very quickly. Along with all of that, there's a lot of regulation that's being imposed on the markets nowadays, more and more about environmental regulations and safety regulations, and that affects your business as well on how you develop product. Today, we see the rate of adoption being, more and more taken advantage of. People are less brand loyal to a product. They're really looking for a product that delivers the functions and features that they want. And all these factors affect you as a manufacturer because you really need to be able to respond to those customer-driven demands in a very quick and effective manner. We're also seeing that more companies are taking into account their own services and looking at that as profit as well. So, maybe replacement of parts, maybe replacing of entire products. We also have a lot of emerging markets every day becoming more apparent. Some of those in the U.S., but a lot from other countries elsewhere that are developing countries and being able to compete in these markets. So, as that affects you, when we look at like just these products here, everything looks to be very diverse, that they don't really relate to one another or don't have anything in common with one another. But if we look behind the scenes, all these products have to be produced or manufactured in some way. And the machines that produce these or the matter or the process of manufacturing or producing these products is very complex. Now, as I'm trying to address more and more customer demands and meet those expectations of my customers, my machinery or the way I manufacture design products also has to change and keep up with that market. And these machines can be very complex. They can be very specialized. And as I make changes, I don't really want to be starting from scratch again, but I want to use as much of that intellectual knowledge that I've built and keep that in-house and take advantage of that information to make new designs or develop new products. So really what that means to you as a business is that you need to have flexibility. You need to be flexible in the design or the manufacturing of your product. You need to be able to change the way you do things very quickly. Just because of the customization, a feature or a product may change slightly, but again, like I said, you don't want to start over. You want to be able to take what you've got, reuse those designs, and meet that, that market timing very quickly. I also need to manage a lot of information now. It's not just about CAD data or, drawings. I also have, a lot of other data out there as far as Word documents, customer specifications, environmental regulations, supplier information that I need to deal with. And I really need to have an integrated system that can manage all that, look at all that information, and allow me to make better business decisions. And what we offer for that is a solution called Team Center. So Team Center allows you to collaborate internally as well as externally, but it also allows you to build or take advantage of all that information and tie it together and build relationships or links between, say, a Word document and a CAD file so that I understand why that CAD design may be changing because it's based on a customer requirement or a regulatory requirement that's driving that change forward. So what I'm going to do now is talk to you about what we offer in that product and show you a little bit more deep dive of how Team Center can assist your business. So we're going to start off pretty simple here and just talk about, what is PDM? PDM can mean different things to different people, but I think most everybody understands the acronym is Product Data Management. But that goes much deeper than that. What we typically see is, if I'm designing something or I have a product, that one product has many other facets affecting it. Like I said earlier, customer requirements. I may have analysis that's being done on that product. I may have CNC code related to that product. And of course, I have drawings and Word documents and everything else. But what we see typically is somebody says, well, I've got this product, and they're going to make a design change, and they go to look for that product. Now, what happens in an unmanaged system is that can be very complex. I may have multiple versions. I may have multiple revisions. I may just have multiple copies that all look the same. But really, how do I know what's the latest version or copy of that? And many times, if we're just working in an unmanaged system, people will start to look at the date of a file. Now, that may be correct, but that's not always the case that that's the latest version of that. Well, let's say we went out, we found the drawing we're looking for, and we make changes to that drawing. The next facet that happens is, well, once I've made those changes, now what do I do with it? Where does it go from here? Is there a certain workflow that this needs to go through? Are there certain people that need to approve this, that need to review this? And even that task in itself can get messy, can get confused, can be complicated. Well, what Team Center allows you to do by managing all this data is allows you to find that data very, very quickly by using search tools or functionality that's built into Team Center. And then once I find it, I can understand it. So now I know all the links, the relational links. So if it's a design I have, I may, again, have customer requirements that can be linked to that. And those requirements may be in the form of a Word document. I may also have Excel spreadsheets that are linked to that. I could have JPEG files, text files. It doesn't really matter what that file type is. I can build those relationships between those various files and now really have a full understanding of why that product is changing, what's driving the changes, how it's affecting other items as well. So very quickly doing where used or traceability, I can see how that one change affects many other items. And then once those changes are made, hold on here. Looks like I've got possibly a system lockup. We'll see here in a second. Sorry, folks. Doesn't appear that my slide is advancing. Can you advance it for me?
Absolutely. Happy to help. Just give me one moment. You may try hitting the F5 button on your computer to refresh, and that will usually fix anything like that.
Yeah, it's refreshing. So just give me a second. Sorry, folks. Let me hit it again. Sorry. Oh, here it comes. Coming back. Almost. Sorry, Brenda. Can you, I'm looking at slide 1. What are you seeing? Is it the same thing?
Oh, we're on slide 17 where you're working through the PDM overview. So our view is good. So we're talking about what to do with the part. First, you have to find it. The next thing, you have to understand what to do next with it once you found the part that you actually need to find, the most recent version of the one you need to work with.
All right, I'm going to need to try to refresh again because it's still locked up.
If our audience can just hold with us for just a moment, once we move past a few more slides, we'll have a quick poll question for you. And then Kurt's going to, very quickly after that, move into a really great video that really shows what we're talking about when it comes to being able to fully use a product data management solution to make your lives easier. So we've moved forward to our polling question. And if you all grab your mics and just give us a quick answer. So when talking about product data management or PDM, do you right now have a PDM system? So do you have an existing PDM system? Do you not have an existing PDM system? Or maybe you're not really sure. Maybe you're new to the group or new to the company. So go ahead and let us know if A, you have an existing PDM system, or no, you really don't. Or if you're simply not sure, it's completely fine to be not sure. We won't be giving these answers out to anyone you work with, so they won't know if you don't know. So let's just give that a couple more seconds. And we will collate the answers, and then we'll be able to see them. All right, so moving forward, it looks like almost 50% of you are using a PDM system, but there's almost 40% of you that aren't, and the remaining about 13% really aren't sure. So Kurt, when you have a second, do you want to try to tell us what this is indicative of with your experience?
Yes. So, that's probably pretty good numbers. 50% do manage their data, but we still see a lot of people that do not manage their data through a program like Team Center. They try to manually manage it, but it becomes very difficult, especially when you're managing CAD documentation that has links already created to, within assemblies and so on. So this is a great tool, but PDM is product data management, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what Team Center delivers beyond PDM as well. So some benefits to Team Center and PDM is it allows you to easily find that data. It allows you to share that data, and you can share that data internal as well as outside your organization if you wish. But it does bring you better reuse of your data. Now, because the release processes are standardized and optimized, now everybody is working the same way. If I want to release something, everybody has to follow the same steps. There's no shortcuts around the system. And then a lot of that's automated, so when something is released, then it's locked down, it's tagged as release. Along with that, I can manage all my other data. So like I said, Word documents, Excel, JPEG files. If I want to lock those and access, have access control put on those, I can do that as well through Team Center. But it really allows me to implement my changes quicker because I can find what I'm looking for, I understand it, and it's going to be more accurate. I'm going to be less prone to having errors. So one question that we get asked quite a bit is, do I have to use my CAD vendor's PDM software? And the answer to that is no. So Team Center works with all the major CAD players out there, as well as all the major ECAD players. And with that tight integration to Team Center, I have some common functionality that's immediately delivered with that integration, and those are search. So I can very quickly search into the Team Center database, right from my CAD application. I can open those CAD files, even Office type files, MS Word, Excel. I can also have my Outlook tied in, but it also gives me the ability to check in and check out that data. So what that does is if I go in and check something out, nobody can come in behind me and make changes on top of my changes. It also allows me to save directly into the managed database. So if I create something new, I can immediately put it in Team Center. Team Center is now managing the versions, and it can also manage my revisions. We also have what's called JT. So JT is a very lightweight, open 3D type of file. It is an ISO standard, so many of the CAD systems out there support it, but it allows me to take my CAD data and put it into a JT format, which I can share internally as well as externally to various individuals, but they don't have access to my native CAD data. So it doesn't give them access to my proprietary information, but with that, I do have the ability to give them measuring capabilities. I can put notes on this. I can put product manufacturing information. I can put dimensions, and I can even take this and dimension it. The nice thing about JT is people can view it without having a CAD system, and they can just download a free viewer to view and access that JT data. Now, I can also work in a multi-CAD environment within Team Center. So I can have various CAD systems all putting their information into Team Center, and then I can view that other information, and I can really truly work in multi-CAD. So what we see typically is maybe a tooling department is using one CAD system, the design group is using another. Well, it's definitely an advantage to the tooling group to be able to bring in that design data and make their tooling with that data. So, great multi-CAD, with the JT and the Team Center, we can all work together. So in this next step, I'm going to run through a short video that shows NX in action and a little bit about the integration with Team Center. And I'm going to kind of step you through this and talk to what's happening here. And the video should kick off in just a second. So we're in NX, and I can search. NX has a tight integration to Team Center. I can search within the Team Center database, key in some keywords or attributes, and very quickly locate what I want to work on within NX. Now, at this point, that's really my interaction with Team Center, and now I'm in my NX environment. So it has very little impact on the CAD user when he's in his CAD product, but it allows him to find what he's looking for very quickly. Now, in this particular instance, the CAD designer is going to go in there and make a design change to this particular part. So once he identifies that part to make the change to, that part gets automatically checked out, locked down. Nobody else can change that part while he's working on it. And now he can make his changes. So as you can see, from a designer standpoint, very little impact on his daily function, but it's a great enhancement that now he's working in a managed system. So once he's made his changes, he can go back in and say, you know what, let's take the changes that I made to the top level assembly, to that part, save them back into the Team Center database. Now, based on his rules and setup, that may drive another version, or he may have to do a revision. Now, in Team Center, they bring up that subassembly, and very quickly within Team Center, I can visualize what that subassembly is. We can see the new design change. So it was made very quickly. So again, inside of Team Center, we're just using the visualization tools. So I can visualize this entire assembly inside of Team Center, and I can also do query and different functions using the functions provided by the visualization. So in this example, they're just going to go in, they identify that I have a part missing, and I'm going to place a measurement on there and, basically create a markup. So this markup can then be captured and put into a workflow process, maybe for a design change or something that needs to be created. Now, the visualization does not have to be run by somebody running CAD. So visualization can be accessed or used by anybody in the organization that has the proper rights without having the need for a CAD system. So as you can see here, we're just adding some comments. We've got a dimension. And this next example is the same subassembly, but we're going to run a quick report and just identify which CAD items are in this. So as you'll notice from the report, there are actually 6 or 7 different CAD programs that made up this assembly. So I'm working in multi-CAD. I have access to view the entire assembly, even though these subassemblies individually were built in various CAD systems. And it tells me how many parts I have, but great functionality and a great representation of working in a multi-CAD environment. Now, along with the visualization, there are some advanced functions or features available. So in this example, I'm going to do a quick interference analysis right within Teamcenter using the JT data. So here we've identified some parts that have some interference, and then I can section through these parts and identify how much or where that interference is located. So something you typically see somebody doing in a CAD system, but again, I can do this inside of Teamcenter directly, and I can do it with multi-CAD. So another quick polling question, and I'm going to give it back to you, Brenda.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kurt. So if everybody would please grab their mouse that's in front of them and just let us know, so what CAD tools are within your environment? We understand that you perhaps use one predominantly, but you may work with other groups who use other CAD tools. Those groups could be within your organization. They might be partners or another company outside of your organization. In order for us to really understand the CAD environment you work in and to bring you the best information we can, it would be great if you could just let us know which CAD tools are within your environment. You'll notice you can select more than one, so that if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or more, just select all that apply, and that would be very helpful for us moving forward with this presentation. I want to give everyone just a few more seconds to go ahead and answer this polling question. So again, grab your mouse, select all the CAD tools that apply. Even if you don't personally use them, if people within your organization or businesses with which you interact are using them and you need to be able to handle those other CAD files, go ahead and select those on the selection list in the polling question that you see on your screen. All right, let's give it about 3 more seconds and we'll wrap that up and move on to displaying the results. Again, all results are completely anonymous. It's just numbers. So thanks, everybody. Let's see how everyone voted. So Kurt, looks like we have a predominance of Solid Edge or NX right now, and we have a pretty good showing from multiple other CAD tools. So if you could, go ahead and give us some comments on that.
Sorry. So that's pretty typical. A lot of companies do have a mixture of CAD. It's nice to see that the Siemens products were on the high end of that. But some of the benefits of the CAD management is that it allows you to easily find and reuse data. So coming from a design background, I know a lot of times we could not locate parts that we knew existed, and we end up recreating that information. So, you do get better reuse. You don't have to recreate. And again, regardless of the CAD product, Teamcenter can most likely integrate with the product that you have. And also with the visualization built into Teamcenter, everybody can have a better understanding of what the product looks like. They can view it. They can add markups to it. We can collaborate better. The team as a whole is working much, much better. And with being able to deal with multi-CAD, that way we can take an assembly that is built in multiple systems and have an overall view of that assembly in one system. So, how do I know what needs to be done as far as the next step? What are the processes involved? When I make a design change, how do I define what happens next? Well, Teamcenter gives us lots of tools inside of it to deal with that. One of the tools that it gives you is that I can have a clear status defined of my product. So I can see easily when items have been released. if they've been obsoleted, if it's something that's a work in progress. I can have that visibility to my data in Team Center very easily and very quickly. I can also have my processes be very simple, maybe a 1 or 2 step process, or it could also be very complex where I have parallel tracks happening. I have various decision steps. I may have a process that kicks off another sub-process and so on. So we can take your already, the workflows and processes that you already have in place, and we can create those same processes or workflows inside a Team Center. So now it's in a digital type environment, and all that information or those workflows can be captured and pushed forward. So in this example, I'm going to show you an example of one of our interfaces to Team Center called Active Workspace. So Active Workspace, of course, can be accessed via a laptop or a workstation, but it can also be run on a mobile device, such as an iPad, an iPhone, or an Android device. So it is a mobile type of device, just kind of accessing Team Center over the internet, but it gives you a much more user-friendly interface. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video on that. And what they're going to do in here is somebody's going to go pull up that assembly that we were just working on. So you can see it's a very intuitive interface. From there, the headers, I can immediately say, show me the bill of material. I can see what's still in prototype, what's been released, maybe what's in a various different states of design. From there, I can also see any attachments associated to that assembly. So again, those could be in the form of Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, and et cetera, but information that's related to that assembly. From here, we're just going to put it into a release process. I can add in my notes and then submit this. Now, once I submit it, it's going to go into that workflow, and that may involve going to somebody else. So here I can always see which step of the workflow it's in, and you can see this one has multiple steps. So this is my user, Mary. Mary logs in. Something comes into her task list or her inbox, and she sees that she has to make approval to this. So all the relevant information is captured. She can see who's already looked at it and approved and signed off. And then if she wishes to, she can also add comments and reject or approve this to push it to the next step in the workflow. So at this point, Pat, again, he gets a notification that he's got something to look at. He can go in there, see which items have been released, and Pat may be the manager, kind of just verifying everything's been done. And if he approves this for release or whatever that workflow has designated into it, he can then give his approval and finish off the entire process. So another polling question, and with that, I will go ahead again and hand it back to Brenda.
Great. Thanks so much, Kurt. So that was a great video you just spoke through. So in line with that, we'd like to ask, again, to understand the work environment that all of our attendees here are working within. Do you have an integrated release process today at your organization? And we've given you a few choices. Yes, integrated with your PDM. Or, you have one, but it's not integrated. It's a separate system or application such as Lotus Notes. And, maybe you just don't have a managed release process at all. Maybe it's something very manual, like, you need to email 3 or 4 different people to get that release process. Whatever environment that you have to work in today, just let us know which one of those 3 options meets it best. So as people are answering that question, I just want to remind everyone that as we move forward and get towards the end, we will be doing Q&A. Please remember to ask your questions in the Q&A box. Also, while we're answering the Q&A, it would be great if you would fill out that little survey so that you can give us feedback so we can bring you better insider content as we move forward. So just a few more seconds. Go ahead and use this polling question interface to let us know if you have an integrated release process today. If you do, if you don't, if you sort of do, just let us know with one of those 3 options. And I think we will wrap it up and move forward to the results. Thanks, everybody, for answering. So, Kurt, looks like it's almost an even split. Yes, integrated with their product data management and no separate application. And then the remaining 20, so it's about 40-40-20.
Yeah, that's pretty even. So we do see a lot of people still using Excel or just a manual method of, working through their processes and workflows and having individuals sign off on it. But with Team Center, you can capture all that information. You can capture, the history of who signed off for what. So with Team Center, you get a clear status of where items are in the process, thus eliminating that confusion and rework. But also, the workflows or the processes deliver all the needed information right to your desktop, so you can see all the related documentation that helps you complete that task. And then really, your projects now, you're more efficient as an organization, you're more productive, your projects are completed more on time with last-minute scrambles or looking for somebody else to sign when somebody else is on vacation, because we have the ability to designate other assignees and so on. So what I'd like to do is talk about a few of the companies that have had success with Siemens and Team Center. So SpaceX had a huge improvement in their productivity. So their issue is I build a large complex item. I've got a lot of different design groups involved, and they have lots of different design groups focused on their specific area of expertise, but in the end, they all need to come together and put this rocket together. Well, they were having issues of being able to collaborate between the groups. They implemented Team Center and saw a huge improvement in productivity. Now, Hyundai Heavy Industries makes some very large assemblies, and they were having issues just keeping track of their bill of materials, revisions of items, just kind of basic things. But when you're working on huge projects, that can be very cumbersome, especially if you're not working in a managed system. So just by implementing Team Center and taking advantage of product data management, they were able to save, almost $10 million and really make some huge improvements and actually shorten their average construction time down to 10 days. Now, Seagate, they make a lot of consumer-type products. So their products are really changing quickly to meet customer demand, everything from functions and features, maybe just to design. But they also have a lot of regulatory compliance that they need to work with. Because of the materials in their products, they really have to keep tight records of all that, and they were having to run lots and lots of reports based on that and what the bill's materials are and what substances are in those parts. And they were having issues of running reports that took weeks to months, and using the reporting functionality within Team Center, they can actually get those reports now in minutes. So just a quick summary. Team Center provides that single source of trusted data. It allows you to find it, understand it, and then know what to do with it because all the processes and workflows are built in. It also allows you to manage multiple CAD from various sources. So whether I have CAD coming in from suppliers, partners, or various product groups, I can work with all that data in one single system and use the visualization tools that are built in. I now can also digitize, optimize, and standardize my workflows and processes. I can also use that to help me internally identify bottlenecks in my workflows. So we do offer an out-of-the-box solution for Team Center. We call that out-of-the-box deployment option Rapid Start. But what it allows you to do is helps you set up Team Center so you can very quickly get up to speed and do it cost effectively. You still get all the benefits of Team Center of managing that data, reusing multiple CAD data. It also has intelligent or a standardized part numbering structure that really you can apply it to your part numbering structure that you already have in-house. It does provide full document management. So like I said earlier, it's not just CAD data we're talking about anymore, it's all data. We also have very many pre-configured and custom reports that we can take advantage of. You also have these pre-configured workflows that are based on the industry's best practices. So common workflows across the industry are already set up in the system. Of course, you can edit them. You can add your own workflows in there as well, but it also provides entry-level change management for you. And then because of the roles and the organizational type, the organization that is typically set up in an engineering group, we already have a lot of that pre-configured. So those individuals will then have the proper rights and permissions to do what they need to do in their everyday work, and thus really automate everyday tasks across the company. We also provide Teamcenter on the cloud. So we do have some various scripts that have been created that we partnered with, our cloud people that really help you get up to speed or deploy Teamcenter quicker. With Teamcenter on the cloud, you can also scale that environment very quickly, up or down. So if you have huge projects come in, you need more horsepower through the cloud, you can do that. You can add that horsepower or minimize that when you're kind of more at a slower period of time. In all, you're going to have a lower cost of ownership. So it's an infrastructure as a service, but it reduces that burden on the IT group. I don't have to go out and buy a lot of extra hardware or anything. I can really scale it to what I need to do and set up that licensing or that subscription service and payments, but really improve or lower my cost of ownership. So another polling question right here near the end, and I will hand it back to you, Brenda.
Thanks so much, Kurt. So we're almost at the end, everybody. Just let us know really quickly if you'd like us to send you some more info. Would you like some case studies, maybe some link to some infographics or blog posts that have information about product data management and different secrets to success in it? So let us know if you'd like it, maybe now, maybe later, maybe not at all, but just go ahead and give us your feedback. While you were giving us this feedback, I just want to remind everyone that we have our Q&A open. Go ahead and enter your Q&A questions right into the Q&A area. And I'd really appreciate it if you would take that end of webinar survey so that you can give us feedback and we can bring the best information forward to you in the future. So let's wrap up this polling question about receiving more information. And if you'd like to get a little more information, just right now, we actually have a resource list widget. It's got a link that you can see some more information. We also have a checklist and a brochure. So that's some more detailed information that you may want to dive into, that would answer questions about your specific situation, your specific CAD environment. But since we have Kurt here with his over 25 years of experience in design and manufacturing, I think you could get some answers right here, right now, if you go ahead and enter your questions in Q&A. So go ahead and start entering those questions. We do have some Q&A questions, and I would like to start off with them. So give me just a moment, please, and we'll begin. So our first question, thanks, Kevin, for sending that to us, is does Teamcenter connect to ERP? Kurt, can you answer that?
Yes, so we do have integrations to various ERP systems, and we can typically integrate with pretty much all the ERP systems out there. Some of it may require some customization, but that's something we'll just need to get into more, find out what ERP system it is and what type of information. So you can have bidirectional transfer of information between Teamcenter and the ERP.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Kevin, let us know if that answered your question or if you have any follow-on specific questions to broaden that topic. Meanwhile, I want to thank Greg for the next question, and I will go ahead and start with Greg's question. So as a TIE OEM supplier who manages our products inside the OEM Teamcenter infrequently, I often feel lost. Being efficient, in the Teamcenter environment, what can I do to get some help? Are there some training modules? So he uses a different PDM management system, and infrequently, he does need to use, Teamcenter inside the OEM environment. So what would be your best recommendation to him, Kurt?
Yeah, so the first thing I would do is reach out to the partner or whoever represents you for the Team Center product in your company, because there is training available for Team Center. Some of it is, we do offer we do offer training where either you come on site or somebody goes on site, but we also have training options that can be taken online. And part of that may be, that because you're in there more infrequently, maybe customization of your particular UI would assist with that as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, Greg, let us know if that answered your question or if you have any other additional follow-on questions. And let me go back to Kevin. Kevin had a follow-on question. So I think you kind of touched upon this in your last answer, but could you expand maybe, Kurt? Are there on-site demos available?
Definitely on-site demos are available. Typically what we like to do is we would interact with you first, have some discussions just to really understand what you do as a company, what your processes are, what your pain points are. And then that way, when we eventually got to where we said, okay, let's show you software, we can really be aligned to what you want. So we're not just showing you things that are going to be irrelevant to you, but we can really focus on what you want to see in your issues at hand.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, Kurt, let's move on to our next question, and that would be, how does data protection and control happen while working with international, and or local CAD suppliers or vendors? So can you touch on the data protection control, whether it's with international or local suppliers or vendors?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I completely understand in total the question, but with Team Center, we have very, very tight access roles and permissions. You have to specify who has access to what, who can change what. Just like any CAD system or software system, you really define who has access, who has the proper rights and roles to do what that is. Now, Team Center is very secure. We work within the government. We have a lot of government accounts, ITAR, so all the data that goes into Team Center is encrypted. But this would be something we'd probably need to talk to you individually about and find out, exactly what you're looking for. And then all that can be defined, and it can be customized I shouldn't say customized, but configured within Team Center to your needs.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kurt. So, Mike, let us know if there are follow-on questions that you have with more specifics. So let's move on to Mandar's question. So what is the difference between Active Workspace and Team Center Rich Client with respect to functionality? Does Active Workspace have any limitations over two-tier architecture?
Okay, so Active Workspace, as it grows and becomes more mature, is getting more and more functionality. So currently Active Workspace 3.0 is out, has a lot of functionality. Now there are going to be some things that probably the Rich Client can do that Active Workspace does not do yet. But as far as from a manager's perspective and working and participating in the workflow, adding some data, all that functionality is there. And like I said, more and more functionality is being brought into Active Workspace, again, as the product matures. And to answer the two-tier architecture question, I'm not sure on that specifically, so that'd be something you probably want to reach out to us and we can dive into a little bit more.
Excellent. Thank you, Kurt. Let's move on to Kevin's question. Will Team Center work with CATIA v6?
Okay, so I'm not a CATIA expert. I know V4, V5 are supported for sure. That's just something I will have to check in and get back to you to see what what is there or maybe possibly what isn't there, if that's okay with you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So, Kevin, great job. You actually stumped our expert. I've never seen this happen with Kurt. so gold star to you. We will find out the answer and get that back to you. So moving to Ken's question, it's another compatibility question. So do you know if Teamcenter is compatible with Windows 10?
Okay, so I believe there was just some service bulletins that went out very recently on this. I mean, we do definitely try to stay in line with Microsoft, so the latest releases of Teamcenter, I believe, are. But that would be something I would, I would definitely want to verify with the development group as well.
Excellent. So we'll verify that, and we'll get back to you, Ken. Excellent question. Thank you so much. Moving forward, let's talk with Piotr. So does Teamcenter offer the floating licenses, or is it assigned only to specific users?
It is an assigned license, so we do not offer floating licenses of Teamcenter. It is a license per user. I'm just not thinking of the actual technical term that we use, but no floating licenses. Now, we do have different license types. So we have people that author and people that are consumers, and even your consumers can participate in workflows and things like that. But typically any CAD type person that's creating data like that from scratch is going to be an author type license.
Excellent. Thank you. And Piotr, let us know if that answered your question. So, question for Mike. Can you ballpark the cost of a typical installation, or can you give us details on what goes into a cost of a typical installation? I know that's a very broad question, so do your best, Kurt.
Yeah, Mike, but that's a tough question to answer because it depends on, how many seats are we talking about, what implementation, what functions and features, are those being that you're looking at. That's something we would definitely like to discuss with you and to give you a good ballpark. So there's software cost, and then typically there is some services cost as well. And that's very, that can change for any company because based on what they want to do and the number of users they're trying to address with Teamcenter. But, as far as being competitive, we're very competitive in the market with other systems. So I'd definitely say get in touch with us and let's talk about the details of that.
Excellent. Thank you, Kurt. And Mike, what I'll do is I'm going to take a note myself to have one of our experts follow up with you because since, installation cost has a lot of variables, understanding more specifically what you're looking at, it would be a lot easier to put a ballpark out there for you. So we'll make sure, give us a few days so I can get the right expert in hand to contact you and start having some discussions just to, see if we can help define that more clearly for you, depending on what your situation is. Excellent. So moving on to Kevin's question. So Kevin has Teamcenter his workplace. Rich client 4-tier is, slow as compared to 2-tier. Is Active Workspace 2-tier or 4-tier, or is it slow as well? So I guess he's asking the difference, what's the difference between Active Workspace 2-tier, with 2-tier or 4-tier? And if it's 4-tier, since he only has 2-tier, he's got none to compare it with. Can you add some color or context to that? That may be beyond, just to say, this specific question may be beyond the scope a little bit of what we're trying to cover here, but Kurt will do his best to answer this.
Yeah, so the Active Workspace is very good performance. I'm not sure how it would compare to your 2-tier versus 4-tier. But if you're having performance issues, that is something that we definitely would like to get, services or GTAC involved in because there may be things out there that can be done to improve that performance. But myself, as using Active Workspace, and again, I kind of use it in what I would call a demo environment, but what I've seen, performance is very good, and it's getting better all the time. Like I said, that's a product that is getting a lot of attention and a lot of development time spent on it. So it could be an option for you, as well.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So it looks like the questions are slowing down a little bit. We made it just under the wire for taking 45 minutes of your time. We've expanded a little bit beyond that with the Q&A, and as always, we're happy to stay and answer your questions specifically. But it does look like the questions, we've just about answered all of them. So if anybody has a last question, go ahead and answer it. Otherwise, please feel free to get in contact with us. You'll probably be receiving a link within, say, 1 to 3 business days. Not sure what the timeline is for the recorded webinar if you want to view it again, or if you know someone at your organization that may benefit from this webinar and get some answers to product data management and how to stay lean and competitive. So let's just give it a few more seconds to see if we have any more questions. And I will be reviewing these logs. I took some notes, so there'll be a follow-up within the next few days for those of you who had questions that we couldn't fully answer in this time frame. Thank you again to everyone for spending this portion of your day. We understand your time is priceless. It's invaluable. And the fact that you took an hour to spend it with us is something that we truly, truly appreciate and we're sincerely grateful for. So it looks like no more questions. Kurt, at this time, I guess we will log off and really appreciate everyone who has attended. Kurt, any final words before we end?
I'd just like to thank everybody for attending. Sorry for the glitch there in the middle, but thanks for staying tuned in.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. And Andrew, I do see your question, so we'll add that to the logs. I will add that to my follow-up. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.